Welcome back to TCI's coverage as we get you ready for Clemson, Syracuse this week. Obviously, I'm Will Vandervoort, Tajh Boyd. This is Tajh's take as we get ready for this game against the Orange Saturday at noon in Death Valley. Tajh, this has been a different week. What is it about Syracuse week that always has like some controversy going on? Last year, you know, we had the whole thing with Kelly and whether he's going to play or not because of the injury and all. Now this year, it's obviously he's not going to play and he's transferring. What's up with this?
Well, I mean, I think that, you know, when you look at the program itself and Syracuse and what they've done, I mean, they still think that they're in the Jim Brown era over there in the Larry Zonka, and it's not here, and I don't think it's coming back. And they had a fortunate game last year against Clemson, but even the first year that they came in conference, the year we played in my senior year, 2013, I remember the head coach getting on the mic talking in the conference and saying that they were going to lock us in the dome and beat the hell out of us.
Yeah.
We didn't necessarily take so kindly to that. You know, I remember Coach Sweeney sitting there. You know, he always tells us don't buy that lie. But the first time we hear some negative news, he's printing all of that out. He's putting them on the lockers so we see it every day we walk in that facility.
Now you know, people.
Exactly. So we do buy into it sometimes. We take it for what it is. And I think you're going to see the same thing. They got a lot of energy coming from that program. They got a lot of emotion. They beat a Florida State team. Again, I don't think the Florida State's that good, but for them, that was a monumental win. We were talking about what they're trying to build with Dino Babers over there. And they got some returning guys. They got some weapons outside. The quarterback's decent, so it should be a fun game.
Now, let's talk about it from a standpoint of distractions.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'll be honest, you know, as me and you recording this, I haven't wrote much about Syracuse at all because I've been distracted with the whole Kelly Bryant saga. So I've been distracted.
Yeah.
How has this been for the players as this has all been panning out since Sunday night?
You know, I think – and you can't sit there and say that nobody's going to address it in the locker room because you have to. I mean, it's the elephant in the room, legitimately. But the task now is up to those seniors and those veterans and that coaching staff to make sure that these guys are locked in for this game. Because what Clemson is trying to achieve, you can't do that with the loss to Syracuse during this season. And, you know, now it'll be interesting to see how that game plan works, see how that preparation looks when you don't have that third-team quarterback running it. You know, because at one point Chase Bryce was sitting in that seat. Now he is sitting at 2. Now Trevor has a full week where he's the guy. And, you know, for Trevor, he's being thrust into a role where now it's on his shoulders a lot more than he wanted it to.
It's his team.
Because the defense is going to do what they're going to do regardless. I mean, Venables has got that thing locked in tight over there. And now we'll see what happens with the coordinators and the staff on offense. Because as a quarterback, you're nothing more than just an extension of your coaching staff out there. You know, me and Chad Morris had a conversation the other day, man, and it was just so great catching up with him. But we displayed some of those same emotions talking about when we were here together. Trevor's going to have to be that with Jeff Scott, with Brandon Streeter, with Tony Elliott, and see how that continues to play out over there. But, you know, this team can come out here and score 14 points and barely scrape by and get a victory, or they can come out and put up 50-something points. I think they have that potential. I know that they're capable of that, but, you know, talking about it on paper is one thing, doing it on the field is another. And obviously, you know, when you see how big the story has gotten between Kelly and Trevor and the dismissal of him or his decision to leave, a lot of that weighs on this program now and those guys headed forward. So I'm excited to see how they respond. This team has been through a lot more adversity early in the season than I anticipated, one being the Texas A&M game, the other being the quarterback controversy throughout the whole season, and now with Trevor being named to start and Kelly leaving. So there's a lot going on. I'm excited to see how they handle it because if they can handle this, the rest of the season should be fine, and we'll see how it plays out.
Now, one thing, kind of going back to last week, and I think some of what led into Dabo to go ahead and make the decision this week, when I watched the RPOs with Trevor in the game, it seemed to me, now let's be honest, Georgia Tech was very undisciplined at times, and we saw those things, and there's some busted coverages and things of that nature. However, when I saw the RPOs and I watched Trevor with the mesh especially, and how long he'd hold the ball, and how he'd freeze those linebackers and those DBs just enough, and then if he did pull it out and threw it, how quick he was with the release to get it out there. Is that some of the things? Those are the things you don't. Those are the things you just see on film that you don't. As if you're a regular fan, you don't notice those things. Am I right?
Absolutely. And I think when you're talking about the type of player that Trevor Lawrence is, it's not something that's new to him. I mean, this is something that, fortunately, a lot of these schools are implementing in middle school. You know, these same type of offensive strategies. Now he's able to do it at a high level, and it's faster, but it's still the same principles, it's still the same techniques. Trevor's obviously able to go out there, utilize it, make the most of it. But even looking at it, the first touchdown pass he threw to Hunter Renfrow, as I'm watching the game on Sunday and looking at it, I called a guy just to fact check, and I said, look, when Trevor stepped up to the line of scrimmage, what did he do right there? I was like, what was the original call? They was like, look, the original call was a counterplay. We had talked about it a little bit in practice that if you saw a certain look to check off on it, convert to a pass, and that's exactly what he did. So it showed me how mature he was to step up in a real-time game environment, change the play from what he thought he saw to what he thought was the best situation to the best possibility. Go out there, execute it, get a touchdown on the board. That showed me a lot about who he is and the way he progresses within this scheme and how much he can retain the information. So, I think whatever the coaches throw at him, he'll be fine. But now he doesn't have that safety net as far as coming back to the sideline, having somebody to talk to. Because for me, that's what I had.
Yeah.
I had Cole Stout. I had Donnie McAveen. I had Chad Kelly at times when he was there, And, but now he has Chase, and it's really just him and Chase.
Yeah.
And Chase isn't that experienced as well. So, the whole relationship on the sideline and the conversation is going to be a little bit different. But, the best thing that's happening for Trevor and Chase both is that they're going to get real-time game experience that you can't simulate in practice.
Right. All right, so now we look at this week, and we'll switch over. Last year, the defense, if you remember watching that game, they just couldn't line up fast enough.
Tempo.
Now here's why I thought it was. A lot of people blamed on the tempo. I thought it was because they didn't have any issue with the tempo a couple years ago before when they were in the Valley.
True enough.
I thought it more or less from what I observed was they came up there thinking they were going to win.
Flat-footed. Right.
They were flat-footed. They got punched in the face, realized they were in a fight, and as you know and I know, when you don't prepare for a fight and you're in a fight, you generally don't win that fight. Is that a good analogy?
Very accurate statement. Same thing when you're playing like a Duke or a Boston College. You come into the game just expecting those guys to lay down because of who you are. And, one of the things, we had a Daboism a couple years ago, and he had T-shirts printed out with the target on the back. And that's exactly what this program is right now. Every game for each opponent that they play is a game for them to be able to put up film and have scouts analyze that for the next level. So that's what you're looking at. Because if you can do it against Clemson, you can do it against the guys in the league, and that's where they're at. They were able to utilize that, do that to that defense last year. Obviously, those guys are going to take it personal now, and you're going to see a lot more with it. The difference is, again, with this defense, there are some pieces that didn't come back. There were some losses in the secondary, and there was, some losses with Dorian O'Daniel out there. So being able to communicate that is going to be another question in itself, because when you're talking tempo, Venables has to get it in. The guys have to process it, continue to relay the message back. So now it's going to be up to Tanner Muse and those guys to really step up to the plate, lead the troops, and take it from there. Because the D-line aren't out there making calls, play in and play out.
Right. Speaking of that, you mentioned Tanner Muse. Probably going to be the most watched guy in the stadium because, let's be honest, Tanner hadn't had the kind of year we all thought he'd have.
He's undisciplined out there.
Exactly. Yeah. This is going to be a big week where a guy like Eric Dungy could really take advantage of undisciplined secondary. Am I right?
And Eric Dungy, when you look at the conference as a whole, he's the top 3 quarterback in the conference. I think, he has all the skill set. He has the capability to move in the pocket, too, and extend plays, which, creates another aspect of fear when you're talking about the secondary. Because, one, they don't have a lot of depth. So if a cornerback does go down, they're limited with options. Tanner has to stay disciplined back there and stay at home, even though he may think it's a run-pass option. It's one of those things where you'll see the discipline of this team continue to evolve. And, again, Clemson hasn't played a passing team since the A&M game. So they want to kind of recoup for what happened over there. So this is going to be a test for Clemson. It's a tall task keeping that guy contained. Obviously, I think the more you pressure him, the more you send, I would send corner cap blitzes just to see if he can process what's going on out there and try to get him out of the game as early as possible. Because if you let guys like this stick around, if you let teams like that stick around, the likelihood of their chances of winning the game go up a little bit.
All right, real quick, what do you got? What's the score?
28-14 Clemson.
28-14. Here. Going to be you got 2 high-powered offenses, and this guy's going with only 42 points. So take the under. So anyway, with Tajh Boyd, I'm Will Vandervoort. Stay tuned all week long for more stuff from TCI.
Absolutely.